but we're going to talk about sleepaway camp, which, like Larissa described, your child goes usually without you. They sleep overnight. Often the counselors, we call them camp counselors.
Sometimes they're called cabin leaders now.
Cabin leaders. Oh, yeah. They're usually teenagers.
Yeah.
Or young adults.
Yep.
So it's a bit of a trust exercise.
It really is. It really is.
Hello, Eepers. Welcome to another episode of Extra English Podcast with Misha
and Larissa. We're two Canadian English teachers talking about life in Canada, our lives, and anything else that might interest us. And hopefully will interest you too.
So join us for another conversation. Today we're going to talk about camp, which is different from camping, which we talked about previously, and we'll explain the difference.
So we might call it summer camp.
Yes, summer camp.
Is it only in the summer? It is primarily in the summer.
Are there winter ones? Probably.
I've been on a winter retreat, like a weekend camp experience, but we think of camp as summer camp.
Yeah.
And this is primarily something for children.
Yes.
The idea is your child goes to a camp where they sleep in cabins, they do activities, they usually swim. There are leaders who are either staff, paid staff, or volunteers, or a combination of both. And they have a wonderful time.
Hopefully. This also, we should clarify, we're talking about sleepaway camp.
Yes.
People might call it.
Yeah.
Because there is also day camp.
So many day camps.
Different topic. But we're going to talk about sleepaway camp, which, like Larissa described, your child goes usually without you. They sleep overnight. Often the counselors, we call them camp counselors.
Sometimes they're called cabin leaders now.
Cabin leaders. Oh, yeah. They're usually teenagers.
Yeah.
Or young adults.
Yep.
So it's a bit of a trust exercise.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. So did you go to summer camp as a child?
Listen, I got real homesick as a kid when I had a hard time sleeping away from home. So not really.
No.
Until I was maybe 14. And then I went to a camp where I did my LIT.
Okay.
Which is called leader in training or leadership in training. It's like a program to prepare teenagers to eventually become a camp leader.
So without any previous camp experience, you signed up to be a leader. To learn to be a leader.
Yeah, I mean, that was the option at my age.
Okay.
Like at 14, I think it was, that's what you do.
Okay.
And I went then with my cousin. So there was someone I knew well and a couple friends of ours, actually. So it wasn't like total strangers. And at that point, I was fine. It's just when I was a little kid, I just didn't like that. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
Right? Natural, maybe. Did you go to sleepaway camp?
Every year.
Every year from how young?
7.
Oh.
I might have even been 6.
Oh.
No, I don't think so. I think I was 7. I think my sister got to go when she was 6 because
you were already there.
I guess. I don't know. But it was 7 was when you were supposed to go.
Yeah.
When you were allowed to start going. Yeah, every summer we would go, my sister and I, but I'm older, so I would go alone first. And I loved it. It was the highlight of my summer.
Really?
Yes.
That's fun. I like to hear that.
Like we would swim, we would do all these games and activities. I loved getting to know the other kids, getting to know the counselors. And then as soon as I was old enough, I applied to volunteer there. And before I was old enough to be a counselor, or even a kitchen staff, I worked as a babysitter.
Oh.
So in this case, like sometimes adults with other children would come and volunteer.
I see.
And so someone had to watch their kids so they could cook or lifeguard or whatever they were supposed to do. So yeah, before I was old enough to be a leader, I was a babysitter. I just loved being there.
That's so nice. And you went to the same one every year?
Same one. So it was close to where we lived when I was a child, but then we moved to a very different part of Ontario, like 7 or 8 hours by car away. Wow. And my parents would still drive me back up.
Wow.
Because that was my camp. There were closer ones nearby, but that was where my friends were. That was where my memories were. And for years until I had to get a proper job.
Yeah.
Like all through high school, every summer I would be a camp counselor.
That's fun. How many years then were you a camp counselor?
Until I was
like 3 or 4.
Maybe even more, because I started younger than I was meant to, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. I just
That's
loved it.
fun.
Loved
You're
it,
good
loved
with
it.
kids, so I could see that working out well.
It was a nice amount of responsibility, right? Like, yeah.
You're within a structure. There are older adults managing the whole thing.
Yes.
So it is a nice kind of graduated way to
Yeah.
get more responsibility.
And I was never the sole leader. Like, we always had another. There were 2 counselors and there were, somebody was running the games and I was just leading my little group. It was, I loved it.
Fun. Did you sleep in cabins?
Cabins.
Oh,
Yes.
so a cabin most of the time here would mean a small building, likely made of wood, that doesn't have running water or electricity.
Nope. Oh, it had electricity.
Oh, it had electricity. Yeah, actually, ours might have too. I can't remember.
Yeah, there was definitely electricity. We had lights, but it was not insulated. So there were some mornings when I would wake up and my nose was cold.
Yeah.
Like I was warm in my sleeping bag. There were bunk beds also. Like usually they have
too.
bunk beds so that you can sleep more people. So I'd wake up like feeling or seeing my breath sometimes because it got cool in there. But it also could get hot then on a hot day. I mean, there's lots of trees and a natural area, so it stayed cool. Yeah, we slept in cabins with electricity, but there was a washroom that we would walk to brush our teeth, to
With
do all the
plumbing.
things with plumbing.
Yeah. Ours was the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
I like plumbing.
It's nice to be able to have a shower, flush a toilet.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you call in the other episode? No thunder boxes for us. No, we had toilets.
I feel like a thunderbox is not a many people solution.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So yes, washrooms with stalls and doors that close.
Yeah.
That's for the best.
What did you like about camp? Or what did you find challenging? You could go either way. I'm giving you many options here.
Well, so I did my LIT, then my CIT, which my CIT is counselor in training. Okay. So at my camp, it was like 2 years of training.
Yeah.
Which really you're still like a camper. And the CIT, we did a 10-day trip camping.
Okay.
Not camping
Yes.
in Algonquin.
Okay.
Super fun. Lots of portaging.
Yep.
Eating weird dried food. Love that. And then 1 year I was a counselor. I mean, it was nice. I think I'd always heard it's very common. So my friends growing up, I think many of them had gone to camp and I'd kind of missed out because I was scared. So I enjoyed being like part of it and forming those friendships. You become really close with people when
Yes.
you're sleeping in a cabin, especially when you're a counselor, right? And then you have a friend you're counseling with.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah.
So I think the relationships are fun. Plus
Absolutely.
being on the water is nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you said it's quite common. It was quite common, and a lot of your
think
kids
so.
or your friends had that experience.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's as common now.
Oh, do you think it's become less so?
I think more kids are attending day camps,
Yeah.
and partly because what you mentioned earlier, like there's a lot of trust from the parent side that like you're sending your kid off for a week with people you don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the camps that have been around since we were young are always full.
Oh, interesting.
It is possible to get a last minute spot. So 2 years ago, my daughter went for the first time,
Yeah.
and she went in August, and I signed her up in July
Oh.
because there
that
was
is
still space.
surprising.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder if that's the camp I went to, which also we could talk about this. The camp I went to is a Mennonite camp. That's a Christian religious, my religious background, cultural background. But it wasn't, you didn't have to be Mennonite to go or Christian. And in fact, the camp I went to, a lot of the kids came from in Toronto, and we had, I think, a relationship with Family and Children's Services. So a lot of kids who'd maybe never gone to camp and who maybe had home lives that weren't very easy would come.
Yeah.
So I wonder if their numbers have been affected as much.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. I don't know.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Also, it's gotten more expensive.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure
mean,
that's true.
everything has gotten more expensive, but it's still like I send my daughter because I think it's still very much worth it.
I think it has a lot of value.
Yeah.
But also it's true, like we talked about in our small town episode, when we were growing up in the 80s and 90s, parents were just much less, there was a lot more freedom for kids, right? We roamed around on our own all day.
Yep.
You just have to come home in the evening.
Yeah.
We didn't have cell phones, so I think parents wouldn't know where their kids were all the time, and that was just the norm.
Yeah. We just got used to it. They got used to
They
it.
got used to it. And there was, I think, less fear maybe around some things. So I could see why a sleepaway camp is not as popular these days. Yeah. Because, right, parents don't parent those. I mean, am I going to let my kid just go out all day when he's a little older? Probably not.
Yeah.
Is that better or worse? I have no idea, but.
Okay, so how my kids got involved in camp initially was through something called family camp. And this is something that when I tell my Canadian friends, sometimes I have to explain it. They don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think you had to explain it to me.
Yeah. So it's the same camps that we're talking about that host children, sometimes will host families. And so then in a cabin, the one we go to, one family is in each cabin.
Okay.
Sometimes if they're larger cabins, you might have multiple families that are sharing a cabin. There's still programming. There's still food in the dining hall. There's still lifeguards to take care of the waterfront. But instead of you just sending your kid off, it's an experience for the whole family.
That's a great idea, I think. And that would be a nice introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So we like to go. I love to go. I love to go for 3 days.
I think that's a good amount of time. I was thinking that sounds great. A week.
Yeah. Some do have a week, but the one we go to, it's just like we're in and we're out.
Yeah.
3 days. It's enough. We have a lot of fun. We connect again as a family. We spend a lot of time together. We're outdoors. Right? It's a good.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And I don't have to cook.
I know, that would be so nice. When you said dining hall, I was like, oh, you just show up 3 times a day and there's a meal.
Yes, you
That sounds
do.
so great.
I mean, we help by bringing our dishes to the kitchen, but we do that at home anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
And wash them and make a meal. Yeah. And do the shopping.
It's wonderful.
That's really fun. I should check that out.
So, Misha, you mentioned that the camp you went to was a Mennonite camp or it had a religious affiliation. I would guess that the majority of these kind of camps are religious.
All the ones I know about are religious. Although also I only know about the Mennonite ones, I guess. So.
But it's not exclusively because the YMCA has sleepaway camps.
Right.
And Girl Guides and Scouts, Guides and Scouts. They call them Girl Guides anymore? Maybe they're just guides.
I don't know. I went to Sparks when I was little, but I think that's for the little kids.
Sparks and Brownies.
Guides.
Like there's it's all in the guiding and scouting realm. They have overnight camps.
That's
that
good. It's good there's an option.
Yes. And the idea of those is, I mean, partly to have fun, but also to learn about nature and sleeping in nature. And I suspect they get more hands-on camping skills.
Yeah, we didn't get a ton of those, to be honest. I mean, we did that big camping trip but I wasn't really involved in the planning. No, we didn't learn skills necessarily.
There was 1 week that I was, instead of counseling, I was but organizing the camping trips. Like I was packing the food to send with them. So I was on the inside a little bit, but didn't have to make any decisions.
No, that's the best part. Not making decisions, just reaping the benefits. Do you know one other? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was thinking one other thing about camp, and I wonder if it was the same at yours, is that at night we would have a campfire.
That's
every
where I was
night.
going to go. Look at this. Same wavelength.
Great minds. That's an expression. Great minds think alike.
But we just say great minds usually.
Yeah, we do. Every night there was a campfire, and the counselors would prepare skits, little funny things or plays, and we would sing songs. Yeah. I thought about it because my camp was religious. You were not required to be religious to attend, but we did sing religious songs.
But near the end, did you start with really silly, funny things?
Near the end of an evening of campfire? I don't remember how it was organized, but there was a mix for sure. Silly songs and religious songs and silly religious songs.
Yeah, yes.
But that part was always, everybody loved that. The kids, the counselors.
Campfire, I think, is a highlight. And
totally.
When I think of a campfire, I often think of roasting marshmallows or roasting hot dogs. That wasn't part of.
No.
Okay, usually once in the week we'd have a snack there, but really it was about just being around the fire, being ridiculous, getting a little serious maybe at some point, but just kind of ending your day in this really nice way.
Yeah, being creative and having fun.
Yeah, campfire. So at the camp that we go to for family camp, camps will have their own kind of culture and little traditions. And one of theirs is whenever someone says the word campfire, everyone else says Campfire? We love Campfire.
That's cute. So someone will just casually mention it, not thinking, and then this response.
Everybody just shouts it out. This time, I just went with myself and my daughter, and we brought a friend. So she was part of our family for the week. And on the way there, we're like, okay, there's a few things you need to know. You need to know that there's going to be some silly songs, and let's teach you a few just so that you can catch on quick.
Yeah.
And the campfire thing.
Yeah.
Let me hear you. Let me hear you practice it.
That's cute. I like that. That's part of what I think people like about camp is it's a real bonding, relationship building kind of experience.
Yeah,
because of cute things like that.
And as soon as you go, you're in. You're in. You're on the inside. Right. It's not like all you have to do is sign up. You don't have to. Like, it's hard sometimes to feel like you're part of a group.
That's right.
And then something like an inside joke like that, or like a tradition, can feel like you're being excluded in your life. But something like camp, there is a lot of that, but everyone is invited into it.
Yeah, it's designed to be including. Yeah, that's nice. That's fun.
Were you ever a lifeguard?
No. I took swimming lessons, but I didn't get that high. Were you a lifeguard?
No.
There's always a lifeguard at camp because they're children and they're being serious. So there'll be usually a beach front. Again, probably artificial sand.
Yep.
And they would always have a lifeguard. So it's quite safe.
Multiple lifeguards.
Yeah. Multiple. Yeah, that's true.
And systems. Like you had to have a tag or a number, and then every now and then you swam with a buddy and they would call and you have to like raise your hands and they'd count to make sure all the kids were there. Like it's very serious.
It's safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a water trampoline.
What?
Did yours have that?
No.
I just assumed every camp had that.
No.
Oh, it's like a trampoline, but instead of being on legs, like one on the ground would be, it's on like an inflatable base.
So fun.
Yes, and we had something called the blob, which was just a big inflatable thing, so you could bounce on the trampoline and then bounce onto the blob.
Oh, fun.
Super fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that. No. We have kayaks and paddleboards and
fun.
canoes for waterfront time, and then the family camp is on Lake Erie.
Yeah.
So like in Ontario, we have 5 like the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
This is like a geography.
They're called the Great Lakes.
They're called the
big.
Great Lakes. There's 5 of them. They all connect.
Yeah.
You probably learned about them.
I don't know if you grew up somewhere else.
If you live in Canada, I hope you have learned about them.
If not, welcome to our lesson on the Great Lakes.
And if
there
you've
are
lived
5.
elsewhere, maybe not. But people have heard of Niagara Falls.
Sure.
Niagara Falls is between 2 of the lakes. Anyway, they're big. They're really big. They're freshwater. But if you encounter for the first time and all you know is seas and oceans, you might think it was one of those because it's really big.
Yeah, you can't see the other side.
No.
When you're at them. And they're cold because it's Canada.
But because they're so big, sometimes they get waves.
Yes, that's true, which is exciting for us because as people who live in on the interior of Canada, we're very far from the ocean. So we never see waves. And waves are fun.
So fun.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah.
They're not the kind of waves in the ocean that can like be dangerous, really.
No.
They're just big enough to be
They're the kind that'll knock you over or like tip your paddleboard.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which is fun because then you get back on. No big deal.
Totally.
Yeah. The waves are great. And when you get a face full of it, as someone who didn't grow up near an ocean, I find a face full of salt water to be very difficult to manage.
Yes.
But a face full of fresh water, no problem.
Just you don't want to drink it.
Oh, no.
Beaver fever.
Tell me more about that, Misha.
Beaver fever is just, they're wild animals like the beaver that use the lake as their toilet.
Yep.
And if you drink that in, you're going to be sick. People call it beaver fever. Means you weren't careful enough. So beware.
So yes, you're right that the animals use the water, but it's clean. In general, it's clean.
Yeah. It's clean water.
And
I mean, don't drink it, but
No.
it's clean to go swimming in for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's not, somebody is checking and they will post it online.
That's right. If there's sometimes the weather, if it's too hot, whatever, some bad bacteria might grow. The government posts, people would know this. You wouldn't be allowed to swim.
Yeah. That's something to keep in mind no matter where you're swimming in Canada. Check online if it's safe.
It's unusual that, usually, because we're cold, not a lot of things grow. So the water is cold, but generally safe.
Yeah. Okay, so that is a little bit of our experience at summer camp or sleepaway camp. Is this something that is new to you, something that you've done? Do you have any experiences? Would you like to tell us?
Yeah. Have you heard of it before? Have you done it? You can share those by finding us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, where you can also see the video version of this episode. Any of those places. Leave us a comment.
I think we also maybe have a little teaser.
We have something very fun coming up. Larissa and I have been working really hard on making a companion app for the podcast. So the podcast is a conversation, and the app is where you can go to do some language practice related to the conversations we have here. We're really excited about that. It's launching at the beginning of September. So we will provide more information about it in the podcast as well as on all our social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So be sure to stay tuned.